Ever thought about making your own maple syrup? It's a great way to get outside, connect with your land, and end up with something truly delicious. In this video, I'll walk you through the whole process step by step, from finding the right trees to tapping, collecting, and finally boiling sap into syrup. Let's get started. First up, finding maple trees when there are no leaves. This can feel intimidating, but there's one detail that makes it much easier: opposite branching. Look for branches that grow directly across from each other on the stem, instead of alternating. When you see this opposite pattern, you're probably looking at a maple tree. Then check the bark. On younger red maples like this, the bark is usually smooth and light gray to gray-brown. As the tree gets older, the bark develops more vertical ridges and gets a bit rougher and more broken up. So that's a red maple. Here's a silver maple, and here's a sugar maple. These descriptions help, but the best way to learn is just to walk your woods and look closely. Just keep opposite branching in mind as your main clue. Once you've found your maples, it's time to talk tools. You'll need a drill bit that's specifically designed for tapping maples. We're using a 5/16 inch bit. You'll also need a spile or tap that matches that 5/16 inch hole, plus buckets and lids to collect the sap. And finally, something to drive the tap in. Most people use a hammer, but sometimes I just use the back of an axe. A quick note from experience: quality, well-made gear is worth it. Buy Canadian. Don't buy cheap stuff from China. Before you drill, check the tree size. Only tap trees that are at least 10 inches in diameter, not circumference, diameter. Once you're sure the tree is big enough, choose the south-facing side, since that side warms up faster and produces better flow. When you drill, angle the bit slightly downward so the sap can run out more easily. Make your hole about 1.5 to 2 inches deep. You can see how I measure that out with a bit of electrical tape. When you hammer the spile into place, listen for the sound. It should be a sharp, solid talk, not a hollow thunk. That sharper sound means you've seated it snugly without overdriving it. And you also know that it's not a dead spot. It should sound firm and crisp and not hollow. One thing I seem to forget every year is that because of the way that these taps are manufactured, sometimes they need to be drilled out in order to put the covers on. But anyways, here's how the covers work. This year, I'm only running about 10 taps, which is not that many. I have a friend that's doing 100, and this guy does thousands. You can absolutely just begin with 1 or 2 trees just to get a feel for the process. Just shake off winter and get out of your house. One of my favorite parts of maple season is that it pulls you outside early in the year. You're out in the woods, paying attention to the temperature, snow, and the first hints of spring. It's a great way to tune in and get a sense of what your growing season might look like. maple season is always a gamble, and it's highly dependent on the weather. Too cold and the sap's not going to flow. Too warm at night and it's not going to flow in the day. The pattern you're looking for is nights in the 20s and days climbing up above 40. That freeze-thaw cycle is what creates pressure changes inside the tree and gets the sap moving. Things don't always go perfectly. I seem to break a couple of taps every year, probably from being a bit too rough with the axe. If this happens, don't panic. Just come up with some kind of a solution. Or put a brand new tap in. Now let's talk storage. Especially if, like me, you work a 9 to 5 and can't boil every day. Sap is food. Treat it like something you're gonna eat. Keep it cold, ideally under 50 degrees Fahrenheit. If you have a chest freezer, that's a great place for holding sap until you're ready to boil. This year, mine is already full. So I'm using 5-gallon buckets and packing it in snow to keep everything chilled. As long as it stays cold and doesn't start to smell off or get cloudy, you're fine to store it until it's time for you to boil. When it comes to boiling, there are a lot of different setups you can use, from very redneck to professional. We've used a couple of approaches over the years, and you can see here what we've worked with in the past. The ideal outdoor evaporator uses wide, shallow, flat pans. That shape gives you more surface area and speeds up evaporation. It's too late for an upgrade this season, but we're looking into custom-made boilers like this one. Or this one. Ideally, we want to go with something like this, but to justify more professional scale equipment, we'd need to be tapping 100 or more trees. If you're just starting out though, don't overthink it. A basic outdoor boiler setup that can handle a lot of steam and keep a good rolling boil is all you really need. You'll also need to do some filtering. It's helpful to run the sap through a pre-filter before you boil, just to catch debris. Here's a larger filter that gets most of that stuff out. It has these cool loops so that you can hang it from something. After boiling, you'll use a finer filter along with the bigger one for the syrup itself. Both do a good job at pulling out most of the sugar sand and other small particles. Make sure you do the majority of the boiling outside in those shallow pans, then transfer the concentrated sap to a pot to finish. Moving indoors gives you more control. This is where a candy thermometer is essential. These are pretty easy to find. The suggestion for syrup on this one is a bit misleading though. According to the University of New Hampshire Extension, you're aiming for a specific finishing temp that's about 7 degrees above the boiling point of water at your elevation. Here, that's around 219 degrees Fahrenheit. That target is what tells you that your syrup is done and at the right density. A word of warning though, boiling hot maple syrup is extremely dangerous. It's sticky, heavy, and can cause serious burns. So, take your time, stay focused, and use common sense. Once your syrup hits that finishing temp, pull it off the heat, give it a final filter, and get it into clean, warm jars. We like using mason jars with good lids. Filled hot and sealed properly, the syrup stores really well and lasts a long time in a cool, dark place. And that's the whole journey. From IDing your maple trees to tapping, collecting, boiling, and finally pouring your own homemade syrup into jars. If you're thinking about trying this yourself, I hope this gives you the confidence to start small and learn as you go. We've got a pig in the freezer and plans for the smokehouse coming up. So if you're into homesteading, stick around for more projects from Field and Forest. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.